Hi there, my name is Ehis Okoro. I'm a speaker, a writer, a teleologist, and a musician. Welcome to my channel, where I give out the kind of content that helps you achieve a meaningful, a purposeful, and a balanced life. In my last video, I introduced to you the concept of competence. I defined competence for you and let you know why you need to be competent. And before that, what you need to achieve. Because what you need to achieve, or what you want to achieve, or what I call the next level, will determine the competence you need right now to achieve that next level or dream or vision that you desire. So today, we are going to go into different competencies that is generic to whatever we need to achieve. While there are specific competencies like the ability to use computer-aided design as an architect, there are competencies that are generic to any profession, any lifestyle, any dream, any vision that you want to achieve. And for the next few weeks, like I promised in the last video, we are going to be dealing with these competencies one after the other. So, beginning today, we're going to talk about effective communication. What I noticed is, in this generation, especially young people, they are very effective when it comes to communicating effectively. What is communication really? How do we conclude that effective communication has taken place? How do we know that we have effectively communicated our thoughts, our ideas, our feelings, our dreams? How do we get to the point that we say, okay, we have communicated, and the other person or the other people have fully understood what we have said? Or we have listened to the other person? Or have we fully understood what the other person has communicated to us? How do we come to this conclusion? That's exactly what I'm going to talk about in the next few minutes. The ability to communicate effectively cannot be overemphasized in any endeavor or in any area of life where you function. The ability to communicate effectively cuts across age, gender, culture, belief, religion, theology. Whatever you do, the ability to communicate effectively is the number one competency that every serious-minded person should have. So what is communication? Effective communication is the ability to convey a message, a thought, a feeling, an idea, a vision to another person or another group of people. Effective communication is beyond just speaking. Effective communication is being able to allow people come into, as it were, what you are saying or what you are trying to communicate, and be able to see things from your own perspective. And vice versa also, you, the other person, should be able to receive from those you are communicating with exactly what they are saying. Not reading meanings into what they're saying, but getting what they are saying and receiving the same meaning that they are communicating. So it's not just about hearing or speaking, it's also about being able to understand beyond what is being said, and being also able to communicate beyond what you are saying. So, what are the tools that you need to communicate effectively? I'll give you a few of them. This is a short video, we're not doing a lot. My product on effective communication will be out very soon, and I'll give you the links on how to get them. Number one, you must master the language with which you are communicating. Sometimes we try to say things or communicate our thoughts and feelings in languages that we have not mastered, or in languages that the people we are communicating with do not understand.
Once I communicate in French and you understand in English, there is definitely bound to be problems in our communication. There is bound to be a lot of noise and misunderstanding in our communication. So, the language with which you're communicating must be understood by you and your listener. Or, if the listener is a communicator, you must understand the language with which you are communicating. So, let me give you a simple example. When you speak to a lawyer as a layman, he has to come down to the level of your understanding of English. If he speaks in the kind of jargon that lawyers use, you as a layman that does not understand the language of lawyers, you'll be confused. You wouldn't understand a word of what he's saying. The same with doctors, the same with engineers. In fact, the same with most professionals, because every profession has its jargon. So, using that simple example, to communicate effectively, you must adopt a language that you and the person you're talking to, or the person you're communicating your thoughts and ideas with, you must have the language that both of you understand, and you must master it and be able to express. No matter how deep the expressions, your feelings or thoughts or ideas are, you must be able to express it in that language. So if you are speaking English, you must speak English at the level of your communicator. You must not be higher and you must not be lower. If you are speaking French or your mother tongue, you must speak at the level of your communicator. You must not be higher or not be lower. Because when you do that, you may sound intimidating, or you may sound like you're not enough to talk to me. While you're trying to communicate your thoughts and ideas, your language of communication must be very, very important to you. Secondly, you must be able to listen actively. There's a difference between just hearing what the other person is saying and listening actively. When you listen actively, you listen beyond the words. You listen beyond the tone. You listen beyond the vocal expressions. What do you listen to then? You listen for facial expressions. You listen for passion. You listen for emotion. You listen to empathize. What that means is you listen to be able to understand what the person is saying, what the person is not saying, and even what the person is trying to say that he or she is not saying well. You listen actively. Passive listening ruins communication. Can you imagine? Someone comes and says, "Wow, I'm hungry." If you are the kind of person that is able to bear hunger, you may not understand the extent to which that person is hungry by just listening passively to somebody's desire for food. But if you listen actively, even if you are the kind of person who is not a food person, you can do with one meal a day, but you are listening to someone who cannot, from his facial expression, from his body movement, from his tone of voice, you can tell if this person is really hungry or the hunger just started. In pidgin, that is. So, you must be an active listener. You must be an active listener. How do you become an active listener? Learn to focus. Learn to focus. Most times, the problem with effective communication is our focus is very divided. We are listening or we are talking and our mind is completely elsewhere. That's one of the biggest problems of effective communication. You must learn to focus your attention on what you are listening to, on who you are listening to, on what you are reading. You must be able to focus on what you are saying. You can't be saying something or doing the presentation to a group of people and your mind is elsewhere. No, you must bring your faculties to bear on what you are saying. You must bring your full attention. You must pay, as it were, attention to what you are saying and what you are listening to be able to listen actively to the person you're talking to and also to listen to yourself, because many people talk without listening to themselves. So, two things I've said today about effective communication. The language of communication, very important, and then active listening. Effective communication also, thirdly, involves some form of emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence, in simple words, is to be aware of your emotions and be in control of it in such a way that you are also aware of the emotions of the person you're in communication with and have the empathy to feel, to know exactly what that person is feeling and know the exact response that is needed at that particular time. That is emotional intelligence as regards effective communication. What does this mean for you? It means while you are speaking, like I'm speaking to you now, I'm aware of my emotions. I know how I feel. I'm very passionate about competencies. I'm passionate about personal development. I'm passionate about human capital development. I'm passionate about capacity. So all of this passion, you hear it in my voice. You see it in my face. You see it in my expression. In the same vein, when you are talking to someone, when you are communicating with someone, these inaudible expressions come to bear. It means I am conscious of my emotion as I speak to you. If I'm getting overly excited, I can control it. If I'm dispassionate, I can control it. If I'm supposed to be excited and I'm not, I can control it. Can you imagine a comedian trying to make people laugh and communicating depression by his expression? Maybe he just lost someone dear. That expression of sadness is communicated even if he's trying to crack a joke. So you need some form of emotional intelligence to track your own inner feelings, to track your own emotions first, and then you increase that competence into tracking the emotions of those or the person you are communicating with. It means if I'm talking to you, first of all, I have to know if you are paying attention, because you can be looking at me straight in the eye and you're not paying attention. Secondly, I have to be mindful of your emotional state at that time. Are you happy? Are you sad? Are you discouraged? Are you excited? Are you overly excited? Are you hungry? Are you indifferent? Are you angry? Are you showing contempt? Are you distracted? Are you bothered? Is something bothering you? Are you in a hurry to go somewhere else? Are you in a hurry to listen to someone else? Is there something you want me to say that I'm not saying? All of these expressions are inaudible. Only an emotionally intelligent communicator can track these expressions and make the best of it to make communication effective. So, for this video, I've given you three things. First, what is the language with which you are communicating? Have you mastered it? Do you know it? I'll give you an example. You're talking to business people and they ask a question like, what is your EBITDA? EBITDA. And you're moping and you're looking at them and they expect that as a business person or an aspiring business person, you're supposed to know what equity before interest, tax, depreciation, and amortization. So if you don't know that and you're talking to business people, that communication cannot be effective because they expect that as a business person, you should have espoused yourself in business terms. So language is very important. In the same vein, when you're talking to your wife or your girlfriend, you can't be talking about interest, profit, and loss, or business terms or economic terms. No, you'll be speaking romantically with a lot of love and a lot of passion and care. That's another language. It's different from the language of economics or finance. So I believe you understand what I mean by language. Secondly, I talked about active listening. Listening to yourself and listening to what the other person is saying actively. Tracking what is being said, what is not being said, and what is trying to be said. And thirdly, emotional intelligence. Once you get these 3 tools in your toolbox, your communication is on a journey to becoming very effective in any area of your life. I hope you enjoyed this video. Do well to subscribe, do well to share, do well to click on the notification button so that as I upload the next video and the next and the next, you will get notified immediately. I remain Ehis Okoro, CEO of Jabbing Consult. Jabbing Consult is a human capacity building firm here in Asaba, and on this channel I'm committed. I'm totally committed to giving you the kind of content that helps for a balanced, meaningful, and a purposeful life. In our next video, I'll talk about another equally important competence, and I hope to see you there. Thank you for your time. Thank you very much.